Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley, and you are listening to Reading with Your Kids. We are coming to you from Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. Our mission is to help all families grow closer through reading, and we do that by introducing you to the coolest authors, the funnest tales, and a whole lot of reading inspiration for the whole family. We hope that you'll consider helping us spread the word by telling all of your family and friends about the show, your kids' teachers, librarians, principals, and random strangers you meet on the street, and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Podcasts, and a CastBox, Player FM, YouTube. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. 3 wonderful and fascinating guests are coming your way today. First up, Brigette Barrager is here to celebrate Whoooo Is Still Awake. Later in the show, Mark Perloe will be here to celebrate Milo, Superpowers. And later in the show, Lauren Drago is here. She was one of the first guests that we had on. She was here back in 2017. She returns to the show to celebrate her new book. It's called The Greenfield Dragon. Get ready, adventure fans. Toby Baxter is back. In I Heart Riverhome, the 4th thrilling book in the Adventures of Toby Baxter series, written by Tim Wright, 13-year-old Toby dives into his most unexpected quest yet. He's battling trolls, navigating the sandpit of love, and getting stuck with an LOVE compass. But when the girl of his dreams, Rainey, is kidnapped, Toby must summon more courage than ever before. All 4 books in the Adventures of Toby Baxter series have been honored as Reading with Your Kids certified great reads, each packed with fast-paced action, humor, and heart. So grab your copy of I Heart Riverhome today and join Toby on an unforgettable journey through Riverhome, where every page is an adventure. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Trumpet, the Miracle Wolf Pup series. There's a brand new book in the series, and we're so excited to tell you all about it. Trumpet becomes a mom. In this exciting book, Trumpet and Lighthawk, now a bonded pair, start their own family with their very first litter of pups. Families can read together, schools can explore the importance of wolf packs and conservation, and Trumpet fans everywhere can celebrate this milestone in her incredible journey. Grab your copy today, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, select bookstores, and the Wolf Conservation Center, where Trumpet and her family live. Plus, 50% of all profits go right back to supporting the Wolf Conservation Center, with more donated to Lighthawk Conservation Flying. So grab your book today and have a group haul for Trumpet and her family. Join us right now from Los Angeles in California. Our guest is here today to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Whoooo Is Still Awake. Please welcome to the show, Brigette Barrager. Brigette, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Wonderful to have you on. Tell us, who is still awake?
Who indeed? That's the question of the book, is who stays awake in the nighttime when perhaps if you're a small child going to sleep at night, who's still up in the nighttime?
Awesome. We live in the city of Boston, but we are as far away from downtown Boston as you can be and still be within the city limits. And we're blessed to live next to a wildlife sanctuary, literally next
Oh my gosh.
Sanctuary, yeah.
So you know all about the critters and the creatures and the fun furry neighbors that are up in the nighttime.
Absolutely. And the who, when we hear that is both wonderful and kind of creepy too sometimes.
I love it. I love owls. A fun and funny theme in my life is that people love to give me owl things.
Okay.
Yeah. Not because I don't know if at some point I had told everyone that I liked owls, or I think I had like an owl brooch and people saw it, friends and family saw it and thought like, yeah, I know what she likes. It's owls. Like,
All right.
but owls are sort of like a theme for
Uh-huh.
us. We have a lot of like owl decor in our home. And, when I was trying to imagine like what kind of nighttime book I wanted to make, owls, it just made a lot of sense for me.
They are really wonderful creatures. I remember camping in Maine, and it was very rustic camping. I don't think we're in a campground. I think we're just next to a lake. And we're looking out at the moon and the stars and reflecting off the lake. And it was silent and it was beautiful. And then this owl just flew right over our heads. It was silent until it was like here, right at my forehead.
Yeah.
And then it was like, whoa, it scared the life out of me.
They're very cool and they are very quiet. And they
Yeah.
really do make they're almost like, sounds like a little cartoon, doesn't it? The
Mhm.
hoo hoo.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Tell me, you were mentioning you were thinking, so you were intentional in writing a book about nighttime. Why was that?
Well, I have two almost 4-year-olds. I have twin daughters.
Okay.
Yeah, they're identical twins, which makes sense when you see the art in the book because the two little owls are identical to each other.
Oh,
And we spent a lot of time in the first, well, even still, in the first couple years of their life reading the books. And it's a very different experience making books when you're not a parent
uh-huh.
and then making books after you become a parent, because my experience became less cerebral and about like, oh, what kind of story would I like to read like aloud to some other children? And it became more about like, what do I want to read at nighttime to my own kids? And the
Yeah.
things that really came to the top of the book stack for me each evening were the things that had a rhyming scheme that was really almost like a lullaby, like a song. You can get into the rhythm of reading it very easily. Things like Goodnight Moon was one that we read over and over again, or Each Peach Pear Plum, where it just has like, it's simple and it flows and there's not a lot of text versus the illustration, so that you can really like, you know, at the end of the day, everybody's attention span is just trashed, especially the little ones. They
Mhm.
don't have the patience to listen to a long story. So I really became interested in like, okay, what kind of stories can we tell that are specifically for bedtime? Well, how about a story about the nighttime that's about like what's going on outside when we're going to sleep, what's happening out there?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. You know, I grew up in the city, and so what was going on outside my home when I was a kid was, car alarms and sirens.
Yeah, me too.
They were yelling at each other, but, it's a completely different experience when you're out in nature.
Yeah, but a lot of the animals in the book are animals that you would experience even in an urban setting. Like, what do we
Uh-huh.
got? Cats, rats, skunks, possums, um, raccoons. Those guys, they do all right in the city. Even in Los
Mhm.
Angeles, we have coyotes.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We have coyotes here, and they're quite loud sometimes, especially
Yeah.
in the spring. Yeah. And it's really sad too when they catch something and
Oh gosh, they can get
you hear.
really noisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed on your website you refer to yourself as an illustrator who writes children's books. So I'm guessing for you the illustrations and the images come first.
Sometimes with this one, it was more the concept of wanting to do something at night. And I also wanted to make something that was relatively simple. I really like my bandwidth since becoming a mother and like a mother of twins is like, it's, you know, that's a lot of children to suddenly have. Like going from
Uh-huh.
0 to 2 is like,
Uh-huh.
it really, I had to restructure my entire life
Uh-huh.
to figure out how I was going to even continue to make books because my bandwidth was just reduced so intensely. So in thinking about like, I want to make like something that's easy to read and fun to read and like, and rhyming and bedtime, I also want it to just be like very simple. Like, what if instead of trying to, make everything have a lot of like detail in it, what if we're just seeing like the silhouettes of all of the animals and they're just their little like glowing eyes in the nighttime? And that'll really like simplify my process enough so that I could actually make the book and also take care of my own two little owls who need a lot of my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's like the two things sort of like just married together so nicely, because I also got to have, in the beginning, you see the sun go down. So you have a transition. And then in the very end, the sun comes back up again, another transition. And playing with like the color story of like a sunset and then having an adventure in the nighttime and then a sunrise. I was like, this feels like an appropriate book ending for this story.
Neat.
Yeah. So that they both kind of happened at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah. You were mentioning how difficult it is going from 0 children to 2. I remember when we were expecting our daughter, and we already had my son, and we're expecting our daughter, and my beautiful wife is getting an ultrasound, and the doctor said, "Oh, wait a minute, do I see another?" And my wife was like, "No."
Yeah. We had a similar moment when we went to the ultrasound and found out that it was twins. The doctor said, "Hang on, let me just make sure there's not 3 in there." And I almost like had a heart attack. Because going from 0 to 3 is, I can't even imagine. After having 2 at once, my goodness, the triplet and quadruplet parents are the real heroes. I don't know how they're still existing.
Yes, we do have good family friends who did have triplets, and
I hope they had a lot of help.
They did, and those kids are now adults and very successful and very happy. So
thank goodness. I like hearing about like multiples becoming adults and knowing that their parents survived their childhoods. Because sometimes it's just very intense with like 2 children of the exact same age.
Well, I tell you, I just had the opportunity to interview Peter H. Reynolds, the author and illustrator of The Dot that celebrated its 20th anniversary. And,
wow.
Peter is a twin, and him and his twin are very successful. I assume that their parents survived, but I'm not positive. But I like to think that they did.
Yeah. That's very cool. It's a fun thing about having twins is that people like to tell you that they are twins, and it's like all the twins sort of like come out of the woodwork. Like we were getting coffee last week and we had my 2 girls with us, and the barista goes, "Oh, I'm a twin." It's like twins are everywhere. Unless they're together, I guess you wouldn't know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. This is neat. I'm because we didn't have twins, but do you ever mix them up? Do they ever play games?
They are identical. I tell you what, they have already tricked their preschool teacher before. When one of them had a doctor's appointment and the other one, I was like, "All right, I'm here to pick up Rose." And she brings Hazel out and I was like, "This is the wrong child." And she goes, "She told me she was Rose." And I was like, "Yeah, I bet she did. But it's not her. And if I take this one to the doctor, it's not going to do anybody any good."
I saw something on your website that seemed so cool. There was a picture of you, a little bit older than your twins, and you were creating art on a refrigerator.
Yeah.
What a neat experience for you.
Yeah, my parents were really supportive of my creativity from very early on. My paternal grandfather was a fine artist and a designer. He made silkscreen prints and he worked for Jostens for many years designing rings. like class rings and Super Bowl rings. So he had an entire lifelong career as an artist. So when my dad saw that I had an interest in also becoming an artist and that I had some creative talent, I never heard what I feel like a lot of people hear very early on, which is like, you can't make a career out of that. That's not a real job, et cetera, et cetera. Things that honestly my friends were hearing from their parents about, like, oh, I want to be a writer. Well, that's not a real job. That's something you do on the side for fun.
Right.
You know, like it wasn't something that you were encouraged to pursue. But my parents knew better. And whenever I would hear noise like that from the outside world, I would just think to myself, well, I know that's not true.
Right.
Because I know that it's possible. Because I go home and my grandpa's artwork is on the walls in our house.
Yeah.
So I know that this is very doable. But my mom as well, she had a big giant roll of paper in the garage, and she would unroll the paper and just let me draw and paint all over it. I was allowed to like draw on the walls of my bedroom, which I don't know if I should say allowed. It was more like nobody stopped me from doing it. So I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember painting on that fridge. My parents put it in the garage because they were going to upgrade to a new fridge. And it was just, I don't remember if it was my idea to paint on it or if it was her idea to paint on it. But, I remembered painting on it and it just seemed normal to me to be like painting and drawing all the time and have art supplies around me constantly. And, my dad was not a professional artist, but he definitely had artistic talent and he would draw things for me and draw with me. So it just, it seemed normal in our household to just be drawing and painting and creating. And
I think that's so important. We had an illustrator from Italy who was very nervous to be on the show, but when I asked her how her English wasn't, she wasn't confident.
Oh, yeah, that would make me nervous too, honestly.
But when I asked her about, how her parents supported her creativity, and she said the same thing, they let her draw on her walls in her bedroom. And boy, whatever nervousness she felt just disappeared because she became very animated telling me that story. And it was obvious that she appreciated that support from her parents so much.
Yeah, I think that it's really like, it is the number one advice that I can give to parents. If you have a creative child, if you don't have a creative background and you're really not sure how to foster it, just encourage them. Just say like, yeah, you should do this. You're good at it. Like it's not even necessary, I don't think, to like, sure, enroll them in a class or whatever. They'll probably enjoy that. But like the number one thing is for you to be their supporter. Right. Because if they feel supported by you, then they're always going to have your voice in their head telling them to keep going.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's wonderful. Are you going to let your twins draw on their bedroom walls?
Well, I'd rather that they didn't, because they do tend towards chaos, being that there's two of them. But we do in our house have a lot of art supplies. I'm happy to let them paint, to draw. We have tons of coloring books. We've got magna doodles. I let them cut up pieces of paper and glue them together. I let them cut up my old magazines and glue them like back together again. So we have a lot of projects in our house. And it's pretty normal for me to give them like a nice piece of watercolor paper. That's my, like, instead of drawing on the walls, how about we paint on this nice piece of watercolor paper? And it really does, like, elevating the materials a little bit, like, really does, it makes the work really feel like a nice piece of artwork. And we have a little gallery in the hallway where I just like, really just like nails and like some twine in between. And then I use little tiny paper clips to hang up their art. So they feel like they have a little gallery in there, and it's at their eye level so that they can see it easily. And then we can like unclip pieces and clip new ones on. And they seem to really enjoy that.
And I am very proud that I know what watercolor paper is all about. My beautiful wife does watercolor, and I'm the one who gets
yeah. It's that nice thick paper that really takes the watercolor nicely.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, I know, I believe I read that you also illustrate for other authors.
Hmm. That's
How
right.
is that, the first time you did that? I oftentimes ask authors if it was hard for them to kind of let an illustrator tell part of the story. On the first couple of projects that you were doing for other authors, were you nervous or tentative about telling somebody else's story?
I approached it with a lot of confidence, actually. I know that so a text manuscript for a book is right for me if I read it and I'm able to really immediately visualize what I want that story to look like. So if I get that first, like, mental image of like, oh, I know what this needs to look like. I know what it needs to be. Um, it just makes me feel a level of confidence where I'm like, all right, I got it, you know? I've got it. When I was working on, for instance, Uni the Unicorn, when I first saw that text, I read it and I immediately was like, well, I have to do this. I love this story and I love this character, and it really needs to look like this is a classic story. This needs to look like a little golden book. Like it
Hmm.
needs to have a feeling of being like timeless. It needs to like have all of these like beautiful, like jewel tone colors in it, and the unicorn land it needs to feel like, it needs to feel rich and alive. Like I just immediately saw that in my mind's eye.
Yeah. I'm imagining that must be a pretty neat feeling when you read that manuscript and everything is just happening and coming to you. As somebody who performed for full time for a living, and when you're out on stage and you're improvising and you're just feeling that flow,
Yeah.
it's very hard to describe to somebody who has never experienced it.
Yeah. It is almost like it's not coming from you. It's like it's coming through you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You obviously are very intentional, certainly with Who is Still Awake. You were very intentional in creating that book. Do you have a new book that you're crafting?
I'm always working on something new. So let's see, who comes out in December? And then on the heels of that is Kitty Caterpillar, comes out in February. And then Kitty Caterpillar was not written by me, illustrated. And then in April, there is a picture book biography of Cyndi Lauper called Like a Rainbow, the colorful story of Cyndi Lauper. And that was written by the same authors as Pocket Full of Colors,
Uh-huh.
the Mary Blair picture book biography, and Lucy, the Lucille Ball picture book biography. So there's a lot of fun things coming out in the near future. And right now I am trying to get some new projects acquired, fingers crossed.
Uh-huh. We keep our fingers crossed for you. The Cyndi Lauper
Mhm.
book, that must have been a lot of fun to work on.
Oh yeah, it was an amazing book to work on. I really I'm always excited for books that come out because you just never know like which one is going to take off. But Cyndi Lauper was a particular joy because I'm such a fan of hers, and to live in her world and learn so much about her background and her story was really fun. And
Yeah.
whenever you do a book that's about a real person that existed in real places in real time, it requires a lot of research.
Hmm.
So I get to do a lot of research and create a lot of references. And that one was fun because it also required a lot of like collaboration between the authors and I, where we sort of had to like go back and forth and like, I read Cyndi Lauper's autobiography, and then there was, a point in the story where I had to be like, oh, guys, there's like a little inconsistency here in the timeline, and like, what are we going to do about it? And like, it all got resolved, but it was like a lot of fun because all of us including our wonderful editor on that project, are just like such fans of hers that we were really like, we have to get this right for Cindy. We can't have her like, we're just hoping that someday she lays her eyes on this and we cannot get her life wrong. Like, we got to get it right.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time that we've done a picture book biography about a person that's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. As somebody who was a fan of professional wrestling, did you, her stint in WrestleMania, was that covered in the book?
It wasn't covered explicitly because, you know, in a picture book biography, we only got like 40 pages, so everything can't be in there. But I did make sure that visually, the wrestlers were represented on some of the pages. They're in there.
Well, you know, it's funny because I think that moment in Cindy in particular was instrumental in what had always been sort of something that you didn't tell everybody, that you went to the professional wrestling matches and don't tell anybody. And it became much more mainstream. I think due in a lot of ways of her involvement, and it is a crazy huge industry nowadays.
Yeah. Have you watched her, there's a documentary about her career?
I haven't seen it yet. Do you know what streaming service it's on?
I think I watched it on, I want to say Paramount Plus.
Okay. We'll have to check.
But it's really great. Like, if you thought you were a fan of hers before, after you watch that, you kind of like fall in love with her. And there's also great, what is that? Like, there's a documentary called like The Greatest Night in Pop History or something that's about the We Are the World recording. And she has some great moments in that as well, where they're like recording with all of the other celebrities in the room, and her jewelry, she's wearing so much of it that they can hear it on the recording. And they're like, what's that weird feedback noise that we're getting on the mic? And she has to like take all of her jangly jewelry off. Yeah, she's just great. She's such a character. She's fantastic.
Is there any other person out there that you'd love to do a children's book biography on?
Oh, a lot. Kate Bush. I think Kate Bush would be fantastic to do a picture book biography. Or Peggy Guggenheim. I recently watched a documentary about Peggy Guggenheim, and she was basically like, we have her to thank for our concepts of like modern art in America. Like, she was like a real like important tastemaker and curator of a lot of like iconic modern art in America. It's just like, I was like, I don't know how there are not books about these people already, because they're so interesting. I like to make books about people who are weird and interesting and who love to do their own thing and are sort of like irrepressible spirits. It's like part of their deal is that they just can't help but be themselves.
Yeah. Those are the people that I'm attracted to as well.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah. Well, we should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Whoo Is Still Awake and find out more about you.
All right. You can go to my website. That's BrigitteB.com, and Brigette is spelled Brigitte. Unfortunately, there's no D in it. Or you can just Google search my name with all various misspellings, and I'll probably still come up because I'm the only Brigette Barrager that exists. You can find me on Instagram as well at Brigette Barrager. And if you do happen upon my website, please join my mailing list, because I'll be sending out, especially within the next like 6 months, there's so many fun things going on. I'm always excited for books to come out, but Who is especially close to my heart, since this one is like, I wrote it, I illustrated it. I had like, I have a real fondness for it since it's dedicated to my daughters. And I'm really like, I'm envisioning a lot of parents also having a fun time reading that one to their little ones at bedtime. Yeah, I'm just like really, I mean, whenever you write and illustrate a book yourself, it is kind of like an especially close one for you.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, it's special.
I can't wait. And imagine you're excited for your girls to see their book on the shelf of a bookstore?
Yeah, I think they already know that I draw for a living, and they already have seen me working on books before. And this like really made me cry when it happened. I was at their school to pick them up from preschool, and on the wall, because it's the beginning of the school year, they have like a little like about me page where it says like, this is my name and this is my favorite color and like, here's how old I am, etc. And part of it was, here's what I want to be when I grow up. And for both of my girls, it said artist.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that was, I wasn't there. I wasn't prompting them to do that. Like they came up with that on their own when they were at school. So I really felt like touched by that. I like that seeing me work on books and knowing that that's what I do for a living is actually like, they are actually aware of it and it is affecting them in a way where they're like, oh yeah, I could do that too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, for all the trouble and all the difficulties raising twins, you got to experience that twice.
That's right.
Yeah.
We like to say, us twin parents, we're allowed to say that it's hard and we're allowed to do things like call them the gruesome twosome. For everybody else, all of you, you say twice as nice.
Amen.
Or double the fun if you're a Doublemint fan.
There you go. We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Whoooo Is Still Awake. Our guest has been Brigette Barrager. Hey, Brigette, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks so much. Please come back to celebrate your next books.
I would love to. This was really fun.
This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Princess Naomi Helps a Unicorn, a dance-it-out creative movement story for young movers. Unicorns and horses and snakes, oh my! Interactive movement wrapped up in a charming story of sibling angst, anger management, compassion, and triumph. Fed up with her annoying sister, Naomi storms out of the castle, only to discover a unicorn in need of help. With a sense of purpose, she quickly forgets her anger. Princess Naomi is just one of the many wonderful books you can find at onceuponadance.com. A mother and daughter duo with a passion for dance and storytelling. They strive to share joyful movement, honor the beauty and discipline of ballet, and foster freedom of expression. Check it out today, onceuponadance.com. Hey, I want to let you know that this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Chicken Coop Chaos by Nancy Tavares. Are you ready for some barnyard fun your kids will absolutely adore? Then you've got to check out Nancy Tavares' delightful books, Chicken Coop Chaos and Chicken Coop Chaos Christmas. In the original Chicken Coop Chaos, we meet Pearl, a hen who loves peace, order, and a tidy little hen house. But when Window the Rooster barges in and decides he's not leaving, Pearl has to hatch a clever plan to take back her space. And let's just say things get hilariously chaotic. And just in time for the holidays, Chicken Coop Chaos Christmas brings even more laughs, heart, and festive feathered fun. These books are perfect for young readers, classrooms, and family read-aloud time. So flap on over to your favorite bookstore or online retailer and grab your copies of Chicken Coop Chaos and Chicken Coop Chaos Christmas today. Your kids will be clucking with joy. Join us right now from right outside of Los Angeles in the beautiful state of California. Our guest is here today to celebrate his new picture book. It's called Milo's Superpower. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Mark Perloe. Hey, Dr. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great this morning. Thank you for inviting me to share Milo's Superpower with your audience.
I'm excited to have you on. Dr. Mark was sharing a little bit with me that he has had a career helping families bring beautiful babies into the world. Now he's retired and he is enjoying his grandbabies. And what a joy that must be.
Oh, it was so exciting. This all happened right at the start of the pandemic. I had a cancer diagnosis and put that behind me, retired, moved out west to be near grandkids. And there was some trepidation getting started, but so many things have fallen into place. I've been very, very lucky. And this is a project that involved the whole family, our own kids and our grandkids, to bring this book forth.
Yeah. Now, I understand that Milo, the name Milo, is kind of inspired by your grandkids.
Well, actually, it started out as Noah's superpower, but there are already books, Noah's Superpower, and too many Noahs. So I decided I wanted to use the kids' names. The older boy in real life is Hugo, and the younger one is Rocky. And it was decided that we would come up with some fictitious names. So Milo was suggested, and Oliver.
Okay. All right. I love that. I love that. I was wondering where you're going when you said it. So I figured when you said, oh, it's inspired by the kid's name, I figured the kid's name is Michael or Louise, but then you go Rocco and Hugo. I'm like, I'm not making the connection here, Tom.
Well, it's funny because Rocky actually got his name from his brother while my daughter was pregnant. He just decided and started calling the baby before he was born, calling him Rocky. So, and that stuck.
That's cool. I love that. I love that. Yeah, my daughter, my son, my daughter's name is Alejandra, and my son at 2 years old had trouble with that name, as a lot of 2-year-olds would, and he called her Hannah. And so that kind of stuck for a while.
Well, I read the story about how you got your nickname, and I think that's exciting and fun too. I'm sure you've shared that with your listeners.
I have. I have to ask you afterwards where you read that. I got to find out where that is. Tell us about Milo's Superpower. What's this book all about?
Well, it's exciting because the siblings don't always get along. There's jealousy. The older one realized that the squeaky wheel would get the grease, and the younger one felt left out and didn't know how to deal with it. So I reminded him that he had a superpower, and that was his smile. He is the one who is silly. He keeps us laughing. There's always something that he will do that will bring a smile to our face. And just one example here, he came to visit one day and he brought along his Roomba vacuum. And we were all surprised that here this little kid comes in holding his Roomba vacuum. And we asked why, and he said he didn't want her to be lonely staying at home. So he brought her along and he wanted her to meet our Roomba vacuum. And he set them up in the room, turned them both on, and pulled me back in the room. He said, "Look, Grandpa, they're dancing as they're crossing the floor back and forth together." That's the kind of humor, whether it's dressing silly or just being funny, he keeps us going. And I said, this is the superpower. You can use this to get what you want. And as you grow up, I don't want you to forget the power of a smile. A few weeks later, we started working on this book, and my co-author is a second grade teacher. So we bounced it off of her, and she would read the story to Rocky, but also to her students and get feedback on it. But we took Rocky to one of the parks nearby, and he was playing. He comes running back over and said, that boy over there, he does not have any superpowers. And we turned to him and said, not everybody has superpowers that they know about. Superman had superpowers, but he wanted everybody to see him as Clark Kent, that he hid the superpower. And maybe this boy just doesn't want to let everybody know his superpowers, because I think everybody has them. And maybe you can help him discover what his superpowers are if he doesn't know. So he really got into that and started to focus on, this is a good thing. My smile is something that's important. So we're kind of excited and hope it will stay with him.
Yeah, that's great. I love the idea of teaching kids that a smile, as one of my heroes, Mother Teresa, used to say, a smile is a gift. And I really think it is a great superpower that we can use to spread happiness and change the trajectory of someone who's having a bad day.
And that's what happened here in the story. Mom comes and tells him it's time for bed, turn off the TV, and give me the remote. And they decide that they're going to act as pirates. And the TV set becomes a treasure chest. And they turn it into a game. And I've seen this over and over again. These two boys, 7 and 4, or 8 now and 4, are very close, supportive of each other. And it's just surprising. And when jealousy or something gets in there, they use the silliness to get out, or we help them with the silliness to resolve whatever conflict there is.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. You shared with us that, you retired at the beginning of the pandemic, and thankfully you were able to put that cancer diagnosis behind you. You earned the right to kind of sit back and chill out and just play with your grandkids. What was it that inspired you to say, no, I think I want to work really hard and not only write a children's book, but get it out there and market it, because it's not easy writing and marketing a children's book.
So as a medical super specialist running a state-of-the-art clinic, you're pretty focused on your career and the people you're helping and working with and the families that they're building. And the idea of putting that behind me and moving away from all our friends was a bit scary. And actually, even, looking at the cost of moving across the country was all of these things. I don't know that we had planned well enough to how we were going to recreate a fulfilling life. And it turned out that was a whole lot easier. My wife has started a litter pickup group in the area. I'm advising guys with prostate cancer now, helping them learn how to navigate their course of treatment and diagnosis. And the idea of the book came after that day with the two boys at each other and telling Rocky that he had a superpower. It very much hit me that this was a story that ought to be told, because it really did transform who he was. And I had never done this before, and decided I'd sit down and give it a try. Now, I bounced the idea off Justine, who was my co-author. A lot of people assume that she's my wife, but Justine is about 20 or 30, at least 30 years younger, and lives in Connecticut. And she did report it snowing there today. But she was involved, and we tested the story with her class. And then I said, but how do we get our illustrations? And the art teacher, she actually had some of the kids draw pictures about the story that she read, and we gave these to the art teacher at the school, who then turned them into the illustrations that you see a little bit here, but throughout the book.
Awesome. Well, let's give credit where credit is due. Tell us Justine's last name, and also
Justine. It's Justine Perloe. She is my first cousin's daughter and a wonderful second grade teacher. And Debbie Nolasco is our illustrator, and it was just a great experience. Lot to learn in how to set it up and make it look good as an ebook, as a paperback, as a hardcover book, and then to get it out there. And I realized that putting the book together and getting it on Amazon is just a small portion of telling the story and making people aware. And I've enjoyed the few trips to nursery schools and kindergartens reading the story, and going to book fairs and sharing the book and meeting the kids who just really get involved in the story.
Yeah. I think you're telling me before we hit record that you've had some of the people that you've helped because you were in the fertility field, and some of the folks that you helped start families have come back and are reading this Milo Superpower to their grandkids that you had a big part in helping come into the world.
That's one of the greatest joys with grandkids. And towards the end, there's still some kids, some parents who have young kids right at the conclusion of my practice. And they're sending pictures along of the families. And it's great to stay in touch after all these years and see them enjoying this story and have it being meaningful to them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm curious. Did you ever sit down and kind of try to figure out how many kids you helped come into the world?
I've guesstimated probably 3,500 over the years, but I don't know. I mean, you can't keep score, and it's wonderful when you meet these kids. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them now are posting the college pictures as well. And you get to follow them and see how they've turned out. And it's been very exciting.
Yeah. Well, now I want you to kind of put that imagination cap back on, because right now there are going to be thousands of families curled up together reading Milo Superpower. And I hope at some point you take time to sit down and think about that and think about how much joy you're helping to bring into the world.
Well, a legacy is important. And the idea that a single book was going to fund a retirement is certainly not there. I'm not a Shel Silverstein. But the idea that I can see the pride and how both boys own this. We went to one of the local bookstores, and did a reading there. And the 7-year-old insisted that he be the one to read the book. And as he was reading it, the other kids would start asking questions and he would get involved. So this is something that's impacted how he sees himself and how he sees his family. And that's important. That's something that will stick with me and that I really value.
Excellent. Now that Milo is out there, is this going to become a series?
I don't know. I have a couple of other versions. One is where our dog, teaches him about the importance of friendship. There's another one where it's about the Passover dinner, and someone who's planning this gets ill and someone else has to step in at the last minute. So part of the traditional Passover service is the youngest child asks the 4 questions. So here, the 4 questions are Milo asking, why does everybody think that the Passover holiday is ruined? And here's how we reinvent it. And then there's another book out there called The Great Woofering, where one day a year, dogs get to speak. And all the dogs are getting together planning about what they were going to say on that day that they could communicate. And Milo's dog decides that he really doesn't have to say anything, because when you're with someone who is your friend, it's more than just the words. Yeah. Being a friend. So those are a couple of things that have been bouncing around. I've spent a lot more than a couple of cups of Starbucks coffee, which is about where I am in seeing royalties from this yet. So as a retired person, I have to be cautious. Yeah. And I'm not sure that I want to invest to do the type of job that I think is important to do.
Okay. Well, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Milo's Superpower and find out more about you.
Well, thank you. First step is our website, milossuperpower.com. 2 S's in the middle there. Don't forget that other S. And on the website, we're soon going to have a bunch of coloring pages. We have discussion questions so that what I found with this book, when you're reading it, the kids have a lot of questions. They want to tell their story and invite them in, and these discussion questions help. So it's not just reading the book, it's reading the book and having great discussions. There are also classroom activities there. It's available on Amazon. It's available through our website. And then we're also on all the social media at Milo's Superpower.
We've had a great time speaking to the author of Milo's Superpower. Our guest has been Dr. Mark Perloe. Hey, Dr. Mark, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Find a Tree, a beautiful picture book by Lauren Chandler McCluskey. Are you or your kids ever bored, thirsty, restless, or just looking for a little adventure? Then Lauren Chandler McCluskey's brand new picture book, Find a Tree, is a perfect place to start. This joyful, imaginative story invites kids to discover just how many magical moments can begin with one simple idea: find a tree. Whether you love music or dominoes, ice cream or caterpillars, whether you want to swing on a tire, build a fort, sit in the shade, or snack on s'mores, there's always a tree waiting to welcome you. Perfect for nature lovers, curious kids, and families who want to slow down and explore the world right outside their door. If you've ever wanted to find a tree, this is the book for you. Pick up your copy of Find a Tree and let the adventure begin. Joining us right now to celebrate her brand new children's picture book. It's called The Greenfield Dragon. Please welcome back to Reading with Your Kids, Lauren Drago. Lauren, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me again.
Delighted to
have
have
a little
you.
while.
Yeah. Lauren was one of our first guests way back in the 20-teens. I don't know if it was.
Yeah, I think it was 2017.
Then you were there the first year that Reading with Your Kids hit the podcast airways.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Greenfield Dragon, please.
So this was a book I originally started in 2021. It was actually a story my dad had wrote. He had a very short story. It was only like a couple paragraphs, maybe like 3 paragraphs. So what started that was my other sister, when she was little, she had drawn a picture of a dragon with a stone. And my dad just thought it would be fun to make a short story about it. So that's what he did. And that was like a long time ago. And then he wanted to make it into a story. And I just thought it would be fun to work with him and do that because I had experience from my other book. My other book, Sally the Crab, I did with a company. This one I did through Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And so we started that, and I made the story longer with him, and like I would work on it, and then I'd show him what I did, and he would kind of like say what he liked, and he would add his little things to it that he wanted to. So the basics of it is there's like a happy-go-lucky dragon. He's like a cute little green dragon. He lives in Ireland, probably like back in medieval times.
Mm-hmm.
He's by himself. He's like kind of like in a rural wooded area. And he has like a bunch of stones that he plays with, like rocks. And he's there by himself, but then some farmers discover the land and they decide to use it for their crops and to start families and build houses. And at first the dragon's okay with it and they're okay with him and they kind of become friends. But then they kind of like start to take over his territory too much. And they start using his stones to build their houses and their fences and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And eventually they just start to like not get along. And they kind of push the dragon out of his land. And then he kind of like flies away to a new territory. Should I say the ending of it or let
No,
people?
we'll keep people in
Okay.
suspense. Yeah.
Okay.
So were you consciously thinking of, making this an analogy to how we're encroaching on so many creatures' living space here in nature?
Well, my dad's the one that originally came up with it. Like he had that was part of his idea. The dragon had the land to himself and the farmers came and took it. So I'm not exactly sure what was going through his mind when he came up with that. But that's a good analogy. I mean, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, it must have been a lot of fun creating this book with your dad.
Yes, it was. A little bit of a sad part. He passed away before I could actually finish it. Yeah. So he passed away in March of 2022. But I continued to work on it. Like I put it on hold for a while just because I was going through so much. But yeah, eventually I got it done and I published it and I put it on Amazon. So I like to think he's looking down and seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what a nice memory to know that one of the last things you two were able to do together was to create this book.
Yeah, I found it a lot of fun.
Hey, is there a website or anywhere we can go to find out more about the Greenfield Dragon?
I don't have a website. I have an Instagram page of my artwork.
Okay.
It's, Lauren's, I guess it's an underscore, the straight line at the bottom.
Yep.
Lauren's art portfolio. Well, it's Lauren's underscore art, another underscore, and then portfolio.
Awesome. And you said the Greenfield Dragon is now available on Amazon. Well, excellent.
Just go to the Amazon website and type it in and it should come up.
Yeah. Well, we want to encourage everybody to check out the Greenfield Dragon. It's the latest book from our friend Lauren Drago. Hey, Lauren, thanks for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Oh, another little fun thing I forgot to add.
Sure.
The title of the story, my dad came up with the title. Our family's last name is Dragon, as you know, and his mom's last name before she got married was Greenfield, and our heritage is part Irish. So that's where he came up. That's where he came up with the idea, the title, the Greenfield Dragon in Ireland. Yeah.
That's great to know. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, Lauren, thanks for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you.
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Till then, we want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Brigette Barrager. Please be sure to check out Whoooo Is Still Awake. Want to thank Mark Perloe. Please be sure to check out Milo's Superpowers. And we want to thank Lauren Drago. Please be sure to check out the Greenfield Dragon. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more empathetic, more loving place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.